came, and the year died. And everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing, to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees. They hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages, you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen, all the long echoes sing the same delight this shortest day. As promise wakens in the sleeping land, they carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends, and hope for peace. And so do we here now, this year and every year. Welcome Yule! So find your places and everybody find Deck the Hall, number 235. Stand as you're able and we will sing. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Westside Congregation for this special winter solstice celebration. I am Donna Johnston. Our presenter this morning is Carole Eaglehart. We'd like to thank all those who are participating in our service. Our greeters are Bram and Roxy Casthecht. Our sound master is Dana Sanford, and Steve Moyoni is shooting our video. I invite anyone who is a first-time visitor or who has been away for a while to stand and introduce yourself if you feel comfortable doing so. If you don't want to stand, just wave and we'll wave back. We hope you will sign our guest book at the back of the sanctuary. Feel free to also take any of the pamphlets that may help explain who we are as Unitarian Universalists. After the service today, everyone is invited to our social hall for a town hall potluck feast. Tonight, we'll be having another potluck as part of our Cups Winter Solstice celebration. The feast will be at 6:00 p.m. and the ritual will start at 7. This is a festive ritual open to all ages. Bring warm clothes. The ritual will be indoors, but we'll be holding a bonfire afterwards, so please come and join us. Speaking of bonfires, UUWC will be having a special New Year's Day bonfire, a great way to welcome in New Year. It will start at 4:30 and will include a potluck. Yes, we enjoy eating here. In other happy news, we are glad to report that we donated 77 pounds of non-perishable food to Storehouse West last month. Are there any other announcements? Actually, I have one. Okay. If you want to sing at the Christmas Eve service, just show up an hour before. Show up at 5 o'clock and we'll sing carols. Yes? Each week we have an animal ministry moment to remind ourselves of the creatures who share this earth with us. I invite Bram Castad to speak with us.
I have 2 Christmas poems for you. This one's called Christmas Dog. Tonight's my first night as a watchdog, and here it is Christmas Eve. The children are sleeping all cozy upstairs while I'm guarding the stockings and tree. What's that now? Footsteps on the roof. Could it be a cat or a mouse? Who is this coming down the chimney? A thief with a beard and a big sack for robbing the house. I'm barking, I'm growling, I'm biting his butt. He howls and jumps back into his sleigh. I scare his strange horses. They leap in the air. I frighten the whole bunch away. Now the house is all peaceful and quiet again. The stockings are safe as can be. Won't the kitties be glad when they wake up tomorrow and see how I've guarded the tree? This is another version of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. I ran to the lawn and in the snowy white drifts, those nasty reindeer had left little gifts. I got an old shovel and started to scoop neat little piles of reindeer poop. But to throw them away seemed such a waste. So I saved them thinking you might want to taste. As I finished my task, which took quite a while, old Santa passed by and he sheepishly smiled. And I heard him exclaim as he sped off in the sky, well, they're not potty trained, but at least they can fly. Thank you.
Please stand as you are able for the lighting of our chalice. Let us read the words in unison. It is the darkest time of year, but in this darkness the light is reborn, the light of hope, the light of joy, the light of love. Each week, as a congregation, we also affirm our aspirations. Let us speak them together. Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom. Please be seated. During the holiday holiday season, we tend to get caught up in the whirl of activities. So this morning, we want to set aside some time to just simply breathe and center ourselves. So you might want to close your eyes or soften your focus. Breathe and center. What does it mean to be here in the depths of the darkness of winter? It will still be cold for the next couple of months, and there may be snow and ice. But we're at the solstice, the turning point. Can you feel the coming of the light? Listen for a minute to the winter music. Breathe and think about what winter means to you. Bring your attention back now to this time and place, and be here now. Long ago, at important times of the year like solstice, people would honor the spirits of the four directions. Now, if you're uncomfortable with the term spirits, just think of them as the personification of the life energy that's all around us. And we'll use evergreens this morning to help us as we honor them. So we have people here with evergreen branches to help to personify the spirits of the four directions. In the East, we honor the spirits of air. It is winter. Spirits of the East, bring your cold, sharp breezes to blow the cobwebs from our minds, clearing our thoughts, opening us to the new. Spirits of air, be with us today. Say that with me.
Spirits of air, be with us today.
In the South, we honor the spirits of fire. It is winter. Spirits of the South, bring us your roaring fires for warmth and gentle candles for light. Spirits of fire, be with us today.
Spirits of fire, be with us today.
In the West, we honor the spirits of water. It is winter. Spirits of the West, your water becomes hard as stone and soft as snowflakes on our faces. May we learn from you how to be strong and how to be soft. Spirits of water, be with us today.
Spirits of water, be with us today.
In the North, we honor the spirits of earth. It is winter. Spirits of earth, you are resting now, renewing yourself. May we too be renewed. Spirits of earth, be with us today.
Spirits of earth, be with us today.
And so it is. Thank you. Why is that? For the last few months, the days have been getting shorter and shorter. The sun has been rising later and later, and it's been getting dark earlier and earlier in the evening. I don't know about you, but I don't like that, getting it dark at 5 o'clock. Right? But this Tuesday at 8:58 a.m. here, something important will happen. It's the moment of the winter solstice, a turning point. From this point on, the light will return. We will see the sun for more hours of the day. It's like a rebirth of the sun. Now, in ancient times, people set out massive stones as markers for winter solstice. The one called Newgrange in Ireland is 5,000 years old. On winter solstice morning at Newgrange, the sun streams through a window set high in the earth-covered stone mound, lighting up an altar deep inside. Now, why would people long ago go to so much trouble to set up huge stones and build a mound to mark this particular dawn? Why would they care? Imagine that you're one of those early people. It's been too cold for months for any crops to grow. You eke out whatever food you have because there's no grocery store nearby, no Smiths, no Albertsons, right? You're living in a hut made of stone or maybe just of mud and sticks, and there's no electricity to light your evenings. There are no furnaces to keep your house warm, just whatever fuel that you've been able to gather. It's dark, it's cold, and sometimes that dark and cold seem endless. You need hope that this difficult time will end. Hope that the light is not dead, that the light will be reborn. And so do we this day. We surround ourselves with candles to remind us of the winter solstice, the turning point when we begin to leave the darkness behind and welcome the light. One of our traditions is to take time in our Sunday service to light up our joys and concerns and lift up our joys and concerns. And we light them up too, because we're lighting a candle for each one, all right? So are there any, the basket's empty, but anybody have joys or concerns? I will bring you a microphone. Wave your hand. Okay, I see Melinda back there.
We have a joy. Eric had his first of 2 cataract surgeries on Thursday, and it went well, and he can already see better and not even wearing his glasses. It's amazing.
Who else has a joy today? Anybody going? Okay, there's Janet.
I just want to say that I hope we're all holding in our hearts the family of the little boy who lost his life after the River of Lights. I think it's just so tragic, and I feel so bad for them.
Yes, Michelle.
My 15-week-old puppy, Suki, is pretty house-trained right now. It's amazing. It's amazing how smart she is.
15 weeks, all right. Anybody else? Okay, Marilyn?
I have a joy that I'm just hearing this morning. I think I'm lovely story.
Glad you're here.
Lighting a candle of not so much concern, but my brother and sister-in-law and their dog Frisco will be heading out on the road in a couple of days, heading up to Perham, Minnesota to spend Christmas with her mother. It's not as far as a drive for them as it is to come here, because they live in Illinois, but it does mean that they're going further north into the cold.
Yeah. And possibly the snow. Pat?
I am so happy. My husband's cooking supper while I'm sitting here.
All right. Well, give give our love to John, okay?
I will.
Okay, anybody else? We will light one more candle. Oh, you have a joy, all right.
Actually, I have a concern. About a year ago, I mentioned that the son of a dear friend of mine back in Roswell had got the COVID and had been put on a ventilator. He got off the ventilator, but I've since learned that he's been kind of on and off of that ventilator ever since, and he's still struggling.
So I think maybe we should light a candle for all those people and the families who have been suffering from COVID.
Yes.
Yes.
850,000.
And we'll light one more candle for all those joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts. Oh, the red candle. Why did we forget the red candle? Tell us about the red
We
candle.
also light our special red candle for the victims of racial injustice. May this season be a turning point, opening the hearts of people to greater understanding.
Thank you, Donna, for remembering that.
Each Sunday, we take up an offering to support the work of this congregation. Your gifts are important to sustain the work that we do here. Are there any offerings that weren't placed in the basket?
So let's sing our song.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
So how many of you have mistletoe in your home in holidays? Anybody have mistletoe? Whoa, it's a mistletoe-less group.
Used to.
Oh, you used to. Oh, you used to do that. So what are you supposed to do when you stand under the mistletoe? Yes, we use it these days as a part of a kissing ritual. But the use of mistletoe is a very old tradition, and the way it was used may actually surprise you. We know that mistletoe was sacred to the Druids as well as to the people before them, especially mistletoe that grew on oak trees. And we actually have some mistletoe here this morning in this little green bowl that looks like it has leaves. All right. Because mistletoe was so sacred, if two enemies came across each other out in the woods and there was mistletoe in the trees above them, both of them had to lay down their weapons until the following day. It's an ancient sign of peace. So would you like to hear a story about mistletoe? Yes. Okay. Yes, it'll be a shorter service if you didn't. So this story comes from the Norse people. And it's said that the goddess Frigga had a beautiful son. His name was Baldur. He was kind and so handsome that they called him Baldur the Beautiful. He was the sun god, the god who brought warmth and light and allowed the crops to grow and the people to flourish. One night, Baldur had a dream, and in that dream, he foresaw his death. His mother Frigga became alarmed. Not only did she not want her beloved son to die, if he died, all earth would be plunged into darkness, and life on earth would perish. So Frigga went into action. She went to all the elements, the air, fire, water, and earth, and she went to all the animals and all the plants that grew in the earth, and she asked them to vow that they would never harm Baldur. And they made that vow. So everyone was happy. And the gods would actually sometimes play with Baldur and shoot wooden arrows at him just for fun, because they knew that those arrows were not going to hurt him, right? made that vow that it wouldn't happen. But there was another god named Loki. And Loki was a trickster. He was a god of chaos and disorder. And Loki realized that there was a loophole in the vows that Frigga had asked of everyone to protect Baldur. Loki realized that mistletoe was a plant that didn't grow in the earth. It grew on the trees instead. So Frigga had accidentally overlooked that plant. She'd never asked it to take that vow. So Loki actually took some mistletoe and he made a special arrow. Now he didn't shoot the arrow at Baldur himself. Well, no, he was much too sly for that. He gave the arrow to Hodur, who was Baldur's brother. Now the thing about Hodur is that he's the god of winter. He's also blind. Right? So he said, "Oh, here, Hodur, here's an arrow, shoot it at Baldur." No other arrows had ever hurt Baldur, so Hodur shot the arrow in fun, and it struck Baldur dead. Just as Frigga had feared, the earth darkened, there was no more sunlight, and all of the creatures wept for Baldur. Frigga held her son's body overcome by grief, and as her tears fell upon her son, he miraculously came back to life. And if you look very closely at mistletoe, you can come look later, you'll see little pearl berries, and those are the magical tears of Frigga. So Frigga was overjoyed, and from that day on, she decreed that mistletoe would never again be used for evil, but instead would become a symbol of love and peace. She asked that forevermore, all humans and other creatures should kiss beneath the boughs of mistletoe to commemorate the return of the sun. So if you want to do that later, hold up that mistletoe. Now, every year at this time, the sun dims and then becomes strong again to remind us of the story. So let's celebrate the return of the light by singing Joy to the Earth. You have it in your program, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Stand as you're able.
Okay.
All right.
Almost.
Joy to the earth, the light returns. We celebrate the sun. The days of cold and darkness will turn to warmth and light. Rejoice now, everyone. Rejoice now, everyone. Rejoice, rejoice now, everyone. Joy to the earth, the light returns. When sunlight fills the air, our hearts grow warm. As we reach out in love, and hope is everywhere. And hope is everywhere. And hope is everywhere. Joy to the earth, the light returns. The joyful carols ring, the peace descend upon the earth, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Please be seated. Well, we've been in a time of darkness in more ways than one. You remember when we thought the pandemic would only last 6 months at most? Yeah, lots of luck with that, right? It dragged on and on. It's been almost exactly a year since the vaccines appeared and gave us new hope. But people in one of the political parties, the same one that said COVID was a hoax to begin with, told people not to get vaccinated. They encouraged people to take other things like horseworm medicine instead, right? And they actually sued cities for trying to enforce mask mandates. And the pandemic has raged on, killing more than 800,000 people in this country. Now that's dark, right? Meanwhile, we're facing a crisis in our democracy. It's been nearly a year since the right wing attempted a coup, attacking our Capitol building and threatening the lives of elected leaders, all to stop the certification of the election. And since then, another coup has been starting. It's quieter, but even more insidious, as states have passed voter suppression bills and harassed nonpartisan election officials, replacing them with ones who have vowed to overturn elections if they don't like the way people have voted. That's dark, right? We've seen unprecedented storms. What about those tornadoes ripping across the country? The wildfires that we saw in the West. All these things that we're told are linked to climate change. And there's still those who deny climate change as they make money from fossil fuels. That's dark. So what do we do when we're faced with this kind of darkness? We can't give up to despair. It's up to us to become beacons of light. As one of our congregation's members said the other day, when they sling mud, we need to sling light. So how do we do that? We need to get involved in the political process as individuals. It's not enough to just sit back and watch. We need to join with like-minded people and take action. Now, our own Social Justice Committee can help with this. So stay tuned for projects and actions that we can take together. I read a quote the other day from a man named Neil Donald Walsh. He said, "Be a bringer of the light, for your light can do more than illuminate your own path. You can be the light which truly lights the world." And then I read another quote, this one from L. Art Nost. He said, "Here's to the bridge builders, the hand holders, the light bringers, those extraordinary souls wrapped in ordinary lives who quietly weave threads of humanity into an inhumane world. They're the unsung heroes in a world at war with itself. They are the whisperers of hope that peace is possible." Do you love that? The whisperers of hope. He said, "Look for them in this present darkness. Light your candle with their flame, and then go. Build bridges, hold hands, bring light to a dark and desperate world. Be the hero you're looking for. Peace is possible," he said. "It begins with us." So how do we strengthen the light that's within us? It might feel like it's just a tiny little flame in there, right? Surrounded by all that darkness. And that it could flicker out at any moment. So let's work on that right now, okay? So take a deep breath, okay? We're gonna actually working on this. All right. And in your mind's eye, picture that light inside of you. Now you might see it as a candle flame, or maybe as a little ball of light. Take a moment and try to picture that. We have more than one type of music helping us as we do that. So picture that ball of light and think for a moment of a time when someone was kind to you, that they did some little act of kindness for you. Remember the feeling that you had when that happened. Let that feeling add to that little light inside you. did something kind for someone else? How did that make you feel? Take that feeling and let it build the light inside you. And now remember a time when you felt loved, or you truly loved someone else. Maybe it was your grandmother when you were a child, or maybe it was when you were an adult. A time when you knew that you were loved, or a time when you felt love for someone else. Take that feeling and let it build that light inside you. It should be growing brighter now. Breathe. How does it feel? A little brighter? Well, I have a challenge for you. Every day this week, find some way that you can share that light that's inside you. It may be something very simple, like being kind to a cashier in a store. We know they're very harassed at this time of year. Make a special effort to be kind. Every morning this week, as you wake up, think of a way that you can be a bringer of light. Now, it's going to be different for each one of us because we're very different people. So, are you willing to try this? I can guarantee you that by the end of the week, that little light inside you is going to feel stronger and brighter. It's like the light of a candle. A candle's light is not diminished by lighting another candle. It just makes the whole world a little bit brighter. Okay, now we're going to practice. Now, understand from science that moving our bodies can actually strengthen our thoughts and our intentions. So I've created a dance for this morning. Don't freak out on me here now. I call it the dance of the light bringers. Do you love it?
Love it.
Love it. Okay. All right. Now, if you can walk, you can actually do this dance. And if you can't walk, you can do it sitting right where you are on the computer. All right. So let me show you first the motions that we'll be making, and then you can experience what it's like to become a light bringer. Okay, first you hold your hands to your heart. And picture that this is where the light is inside of you. And then we're going to be taking 4 slow steps to the right. And as you step, for each step, throw some light to the road. Become one of those light slingers. All right, and for each step. And then we're going to face the center. And we're going to take 2 small steps. We'll be around the edges here, so there's not a lot. So just take 2 little steps forward, and as you do, raise your hands and give the light to the sky, and picture sharing that light with the whole universe. And take 2 steps back and share that light with the earth and all the creatures of the earth. That's the whole dance, okay? So those of you who are able, stand and make space around the edges. Give yourself some room, space out.
You can come this way. It's okay. Squeeze in. We have plenty of room.
All right, so firstly, you're going to turn to the right. And you step right, give a weight of your right hand. Step left, give a weight of your left. Step right, step right. Step left, give a weight of your left. And if you just
which side is left? Who cares? Okay, so we do that, 4 steps, and then we turn to the center. And then it's our 2 small steps in, giving light to the universe, 2 small steps out, giving light to the earth. Are we ready to do this? Ready. All right, so we begin. And we're going to wait for 8 beats before we start. So hold the light in your heart.
Throwing light as you go with each arm.
So how did it make you feel? Okay. Anybody want to talk about what they're going to do this week to be a light bringer? Who has ideas? Because if you share your ideas, somebody else may pick up on that. Okay, let's see.
Pre-pandemic, when we actually got out to go and talk to people, I used to make it a habit every day to try to compliment 3 people that I didn't know on something super simple, like, I really like that color green, it's so pretty, and just that, and that's what I'm going to try to get back to, even if I have to do it, have to be tipped by a text.
Great. And thank you. 2 of our visitors strangers here this morning. Be sure to make them welcome. Okay, who else? Okay, Karen, I see.
Well, I'm not much of a cook, but I got in the baking mood, so I'm going to give some food away, some loaves and some cookies to neighbors that I really don't know.
Oh, great idea, great. I love it.
Since you never know what's going to happen to people, I'm making it a habit of telling people that I care about that I love them.
Wow. Jackie?
Heard complimenting someone 3 times reminds me of a little thing that I live by. If someone comes to my mind 3 times, I know I have to call them. And I always do, and my friends have started doing it too, but oftentimes they'll say, how did you know? So you just never know.
Or else you do.
Of course I do.
Lisa?
Something I do already that I'll share with you is I keep a gratitude journal. And I write down 3 things every day I'm grateful for. Most days, some days I do forget. But one thing I just thought of when you said, let's spread light, how are you going to spread light? You know I'm all about dogs, I love my dogs. But anyway, I used to volunteer at the West Side shelter walking the dogs, and I decided I'm going to do that again. So this week I'm going to call them and say, okay, I'm ready for whatever training you need to give me again. I'm going to walk the dogs on the West Side.
Chris, did you want to tell something?
I was just saying that I do a gratitude journal every day as well. And it kind of sets the tone for the day. And it's so easy to give compliments to people and they're so shocked. Isn't it true? You know, you might say, oh, that's a really beautiful sweater you have on. And people don't give compliments much. So that's a really great idea.
And I love the fact that she's not only caring about the people, but the dogs as well. We have to care about the creatures of the earth. Janet.
Well, first of all, I'm going to hug my kids and grandkids every time I see them. But in spite of how cold it is in the morning, I'm going to continue every morning to go out and feed the birds. Because they are so happy when they come to those bird feeders. And they just flock around and sing and dance, and it's wonderful. They give me back when I give to them.
They give you joy as well. Huh?
Oh, Stacy, all right.
I will do what I do every work day, which is to bring the light to the babies, because we can't have light in our future if we don't give it at the earliest moments. But I learned many years ago that the way to create a wonderful bond with a baby or with a young child is right before you see them, think of all the things you love about them, so that when they see you, your face is lit up and they know it's for them.
For those of you who don't know Stacy, she's a nanny. Lucky kids, huh?
Anybody else? Ideas? Anything else you want to say? Okay.
So we want to end today with a litany. So a litany is when I say a line and you give a response, and your response is, the light is reborn. And as you say it, lift the light, okay? Like you're making a toast. Okay, let's try it. The light is reborn. In the greatest darkness,
The light is reborn.
out of winter's cold,
The light is reborn.
from our deepest fears,
The light is reborn.
when we most despair,
The light is reborn.
when all seems lost,
The light is reborn.
when the earth lies waste,
The light is reborn.
when animals hide,
The light is reborn.
when the leaves are gone,
The light is reborn.
when the river is frozen,
The light is reborn.
when the ground is hard,
The light is reborn.
shadows are fleeing,
The light is reborn.
Light is returning.
The light is reborn.
Warmth will come again.
The light is reborn.
Summer will be here once more.
The light is reborn.
Plants will grow again.
The light is reborn.
Animals will be seen once more.
The light is reborn.
Green will come again.
The light is reborn.
Life will continue.
The light is reborn.
Yes! So near the beginning of this service, we called in the spirits of the four directions and invited them to be with us. So it's traditional to thank them at the end. So spirits of the north, we thank you for being with us today. May we remember the gift of rest and renewal. Spirits of the north, we thank you.
Spirits of the north, we thank you.
Spirits of the west, we thank you for being with us today. May we remember how to be strong and how to be soft. Spirits of the west, we thank you. Spirits of the west, we thank you. Spirits of the south, thank you for being with us today. May we remember to share the warmth of your fire. Spirits of the south, we thank you.
Spirits of the south, we thank you.
Spirits of the east, thank you for being with us today. May we remember to stay open to the winds of change. Spirits of the east, we thank you.
Spirits of the east, we thank you.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So stand as you're able for the extinguishing of our chalice. You have words in your program. We extinguish this chalice, but we carry the light within us, the light of hope, the light of joy, the light of love. Go forth now and become a bringer of light. Celebrate and bring hope, joy, and love to the world. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So let's all face the center and we'll sing our Go Now in Peace song.